طلاب إن شاء الله راح نبدأ وياكم محاضرات البلاد physiology. First we must know the definition of blood. What is the blood? Blood is a liquid connective tissue consists of cells surrounded by a liquid extracellular matrix, and this liquid is known as plasma, in which the different cells are suspended. What are the functions of blood? We have three main functions. Number one, transportation. And as you know, blood play important role in the transport of oxygen from the lungs into the different cells of the body, and carbon dioxide is transported by blood from the cells to the lung to be exhaled. Also, blood transport different nutrients from the gastrointestinal tract to different cells of the body, to transport hormones from endocrine glands to their targets. Also, it can transport the waste products to be eliminated outside the body. Number two is regulation. The blood play an important role in maintaining homeostasis of the body fluid, and it help in regulation of the pH of the body by its buffer action, and it help in adjusting the body temperature because it contain water, and the water has absorbing and coolant properties, and also the flow of the blood under the skin make the body able to get rid of excess heat when it is present in the body. Also, the blood maintain osmotic pressure by the effect of protein in the plasma. The third function is protection. Blood play important role in prevention of the severe loss of blood during the injury, and it do that by presence of many clotting factor. Also, it contain white blood cell which play important role in protection against invading organism by phagocytosis, and also it containing several proteins like antibodies, interferon, complement, which have a different role against different diseases. The physical character of blood, the blood as compared with water is denser, more viscous, more thicker than water, and it is slightly sticky. The temperature of blood is about 38 degrees centigrade, and it is slightly alkaline. The color of the blood is variable, depend on the amount of the oxygen in it. Could be bright red when the amount of oxygen is high, or could be dark red in color when the oxygen is low. And the blood constitute about 20% of the extracellular fluid and about 8% of the total body mass. And the volume of blood is variable in male than in female. In male it is about 5 to 6 liter, while in female it is 4 to 5 liter, and this difference due to the difference between male and female body size. There are several hormones which are regulated by negative feedback, ensuring the blood volume and osmotic pressure to remain constant, and these hormones are aldosterone, arterial natriuretic peptides, and antidiuretic hormones. The composition of blood, as you know, the blood constitute, as we said, the blood constitute of plasma, which is about 55%, and the formed element or the cells, which constitute about 45%. The plasma containing mainly containing water, which is constitute about 91% of the plasma, and it act as a transporter medium for carrying different substances. Also, it contains proteins, and the plasma protein include the albumin, which play important role to maintain the osmotic pressure, and we have the globulin. We have alpha, beta, and gamma globulin. The alpha and beta are play important role in transporting different substances, and the gamma globulin are the antibodies which play important role in attacking the foreign antigen which enter the body. It form a specific antibodies for that particular antigen. And also we have the fibrinogen, which is the inactive form, and when activated it will form the fibrin, which play important role in formation of clot, which is for the stoppage of bleeding. The other constituent are the cell, and as we know we have different type of cell. The main cell is the red blood cells or the erythrocyte, and they play important role in the transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide. The other cell are the white blood cell, and as you know we have a granulocyte and agranulocytes. The granulocytes including neutrophil, eosinophil, and the basophil. The neutrophil play important role in engulfing bacteria and debris, and the eosinophils play important role in parasitic infestation and in allergic reaction. The basophil responsible for liberation of histamine, releasing histamine, and it is important in allergic reaction, and also the heparin, which is important for the heparin, which help clear of blood, which is anticoagulant. And regarding the agranulocytes, we have the monocytes, which are immature cell, and when become mature it will form the macrophages, which play important role in engulfing foreign pathogen by process of phagocytosis. And we have the lymphocyte. We have two type of lymphocyte: the B lymphocyte, which produce antibodies, and the T lymphocyte, which play important role in the cell-mediated type of immune response. At last, we have the platelet, which are important in the hemostasis or stoppage of bleeding. These are the main constituent of the blood. The formation of a blood cell, or the genesis of a blood cell. The blood cell in general live in the bone marrow, and the precursor of all type of the cell is a pluripotential hematopoietic stem cells, which undergoes division and proliferation, and it will form the committed stem cell. The committed stem cell, which then produces different colonies of specific stem cells. As we see here, we have the colony forming unit, or the what it is called colony forming unit erythrocyte, or the colony forming unit for granulocyte and monocytes. So these are the specific cell which are responsible for, each one is responsible for the formation of specific type of the blood cells. The process of the production and formation of the different cell of the blood is under the control of different proteins. We call them growth inducer or differentiation inducer. Regarding the stages of differentiation of the red blood cell, the first cell responsible for the formation is called proerythroblast, which is divided by a multiple succeeding generation, and then this cell during their development or division, it will most of the intracellular compartment are lost, and the nucleus will decrease in size until it will disappear. Finally, it will disappear. At the stage before the formation of the mature erythrocyte, we have this cell which is called the reticular site, and in this stage the cell containing only endoplasmic reticulum, and at this stage it will passes from the cell passes from the bone marrow into the blood capillaries by a process of diapedesis, which means the squeezing of the cell through the pores of the blood capillaries. And the reticulocyte have a short lifespan, and it will then form the mature erythrocyte, and their concentration is less than 1%. The reticulocyte concentration is less than 1%. The lifespan of the red blood cells is about 120 days. The area of production of the red blood cells started in embryonic life with the yolk sac, and then in the middle trimester, the formation of the red blood cell is occurred by mainly by the liver, in addition to the spleen and the lymph node. In the last week of pregnancy and after birth, the bone marrow of all bone will form the red blood cell, and this is occur until the age of 5 years. Later on, when the bone marrow is replaced by the fat, so it stopped the formation of the red blood cell, and the formation of red blood cell is will be diminished in the proximal, will be limited in the proximal end of the humeri and the tibia. But after the age of 20 years, the formation of the red blood cells is occur by the membranous bone, which include including the skull, sternum, vertebra, ribs, the pelvic bones. All these are the membranous bone, which are responsible for the formation of the red blood cell after the age of 20 years. And the process of the formation of the red blood cells is called erythropoiesis. Now, the physiology of the red blood cell. The red blood cells are a highly specialized cell for the transport function of the transport of oxygen, and which is the main function of the red blood cell. And the red blood cell, when become mature, it has no nucleus, and this will increase the internal space and make it available for more oxygen transport. Also, because the red blood cell not have mitochondria, so it can generate the ATP anaerobically, which means it not use the oxygen which it contain for generation of energy, and by this it preserve the oxygen and it to be transported to the tissue. Also, the shape of the cell, as we know, it is biconcave shape, and this biconcave shape increase the surface area of the cell, and it make the cell to hold more amount of oxygen. And the red blood cell, each cell contain about 280 million of hemoglobin molecule in it. regarding the hemoglobin molecule, the hemoglobin consists of protein, which is called the globin, and this protein consists of 4 polypeptide chain. The majority of hemoglobin contain 2 alpha and 2 beta polypeptide chain, but this not fixed to all type of hemoglobin. This is particularly for hemoglobin A. We have different type of hemoglobin, and this difference is due to the difference in the polypeptide chain, as we see later. In addition to the protein, we have the non-protein pigment, which is the heme pigment, and in fact it contains the iron ion, and this iron ion have the ability to bind reversibly with oxygen molecule, and this means that this iron can detach it's detached from the oxygen when it reach the tissue. Each oxygen molecule is picked up from the lung, and it bounded to the iron ion, and as the blood flows through the tissue capillaries, the iron oxygen reaction, as we said, is reverses, and hemoglobin releases oxygen into the interstitial tissue and then to the cell. The percentage of the total blood volume occupied by the red blood cell is what we call hematocrit. So the hematocrit mean refer to the percentage of the total blood volume occupied by the red blood cell. And when we are saying that the hematocrit of a certain of a patient is about 60, it means that it is 60% of the blood volume is composed of red blood cells. The normal range of hematocrit is different between male and female. In male, it is about 40 to 54%, and in female, it is about it is lower than in male. It is about 38 to 46%. And this difference, in fact, is due to the high level of testosterone hormone in male, and this hormone stimulates the synthesis of erythropoietin hormone, which play important role in the stimulation of a production of the red blood cells, and this, in fact, contribute to the higher hematocrit in male. Also, in women, the lower hematocrit is particularly in their reproductive ages due to the loss of the blood during menstruation. Sometimes hematocrit is dropped in diseases like anemia, or sometimes it is higher than normal in some disease like in polycythemia, in which the red blood cell is abnormally high. There is abnormal high production of the red blood cell, and it might reach sometime the hematocrit is about 65% or a higher level, and in this case when the red blood cells increase in number, the viscosity of the blood is increased, and it has difficulty in the passage or in the flow through the capillaries, and this might precipitate the formation of a clot, or the patient become an increased risk of stroke or the cardiac attack, because the heart has a difficulty in pumping blood due to the increase in viscosity. The causes of polycythemia are many causes, may be due to hypoxia or dehydration, or due to the use of erythropoietin, like in athletes who are using erythropoietin, they may end with polycythemia. The hemoglobin also play important role, not only transport oxygen, but also it transport carbon dioxide. It can pick up the carbon dioxide from the tissue and transport it to the lung in order to be exhaled. Also, the hemoglobin have ability to bind with nitric oxide, which is a hormone produced by the endothelial cell, and when it binds with nitric oxide, it holds this hormone to the site when there is a decrease in the blood flow, or in the site when there is decrease in the oxygen amount, and by releasing nitric oxide, the nitric oxide is a vasodilator. It causes vasodilatation, and by that it increases the blood flow and enhance the delivery of oxygen to a particular site. The other important rule of the red blood cell, the red blood cell containing an important enzyme which is called carbonic anhydrase enzyme, and this enzyme catalyzes the reaction between the carbon dioxide and water. In the presence of carbonic anhydrase, it will form carbonic acid, which then dissociated to form hydrogen and bicarbonate, and this is the action of blood. As we said, it play important role in acid-base balance, or the buffering action of the blood. The concentration, at last, we should mention the normal concentration of the red blood cells, which is variable between male and female, and in men it is about 5,200,000 plus minus 300,000, while in women it is about 4,700,000 plus minus 300,000. This is the normal range. Thanks a lot.